Most people believe that money arrives only through long hours, exhaustion, and sacrifice. Yet there is a quiet shift happening all around us. Ordinary people, with ordinary lives, are discovering that prosperity does not require abandoning their daily responsibilities. They are learning that income is not something chased, but something allowed. When the mind is aligned with opportunity, new channels open effortlessly, and what once felt impossible begins to appear natural and expected. This change does not begin in the wallet or the workplace, it begins in consciousness. There are individuals who wake up each morning, go to their regular jobs, fulfill their duties, and yet steadily increase their income without strain. They are not working harder, they are working differently. They understand that ideas are seeds, and when planted with faith and clarity, those seeds grow into results. A simple skill shared, a talent expressed, a solution offered to the right people becomes a steady flow of reward. Money responds to value, and value responds to awareness. Many have been taught that security comes from a single source, but life itself is abundant and never limited to one channel. When a person releases the fear of not enough, they begin to see opportunities that were always present, but previously invisible. A hobby becomes useful, knowledge becomes valuable, time once wasted becomes productive. These shifts happen quietly, often unnoticed by others, yet they create powerful change. What looks like luck from the outside is actually alignment on the inside. There is also a new understanding of time. These individuals no longer sell every hour of their life for money. Instead, they allow systems, skills, and creativity to work alongside them. A few focused hours invested wisely can return income repeatedly. This is not about rushing or forcing success. It is about trusting that inspired action leads to multiplied results. When action flows from confidence, rather than desperation, outcomes arrive with less resistance. Another important truth is that money is not reserved for a special class of people. It is neutral, responsive, and available to anyone who accepts it as a natural part of life. Ordinary people succeed because they stop placing wealth on a distant pedestal. They expect good to come to them now, not someday. This expectation shapes their choices, attracts the right connections, and opens doors at the perfect moment. What unites all these stories is not background, education, or privilege, but belief. A belief that life supports expansion. A belief that multiple streams of income can coexist peacefully with a full-time job. A belief that prosperity can be calm, ethical, and joyful. When this belief is firmly held, action becomes effortless and results become inevitable. This is not a promise of overnight miracles, but a revelation of natural law. When thought, intention, and action move together, life responds generously. Ordinary people are proving every day that abundance does not require quitting your job, exhausting your energy, or abandoning balance. It requires a new way of seeing, a quiet confidence, and the willingness to accept that good can come from many directions at once. Income follows alignment, not exhaustion. Income does not respond to exhaustion, it responds to alignment. When a person believes that money must come only through struggle, long hours, and constant pressure, life reflects that belief faithfully. Yet when the inner attitude shifts, circumstances rearrange themselves with surprising ease. Alignment begins in thought. A calm, expectant mind invites solutions, ideas, and connections that frantic effort never attracts. The individual who understands this no longer pushes against life but moves with it, allowing income to arise naturally alongside daily responsibilities. Many people unknowingly block their own prosperity by assuming that tiredness equals productivity. They measure worth by how drained they feel at the end of the day. This belief quietly limits income because it ties money to sacrifice rather than intelligence and inspiration. When effort is driven by fear, it scatters energy. When action is driven by clarity, it multiplies results. The aligned person chooses actions that feel purposeful rather than punishing, and those actions carry a different power. They may work fewer hours, yet those hours are filled with intention, creativity, and direction. Alignment also means recognizing that life is cooperative, not competitive. Opportunities are not taken from others, they are revealed to those who are ready to see them. A person in alignment notices patterns, unmet needs, and simple ways to add value. What once appeared as a crowded market now appears as a field of endless possibilities. The mind becomes alert without becoming anxious. Ideas come unexpectedly, often during moments of rest, because the individual is no longer forcing outcomes but allowing guidance. Ordinary people who increase their income without quitting their jobs often begin by correcting their inner conversation. They stop saying, "I don't have time," and start asking, "How can this fit naturally into my life?" This question opens doors. Time expands when it is respected. A small window of focused attention becomes more powerful than long hours of distracted labor. Alignment teaches that quality outweighs quantity, and inspired effort outweighs constant motion. Another aspect of alignment is self-trust. When people trust their intuition, they make cleaner decisions. They choose opportunities that suit their strengths instead of chasing every trend. This prevents burnout and creates consistency. Income grows steadily because it is built on authenticity rather than imitation. What feels right tends to endure. What feels forced tends to collapse. Alignment acts as a filter, guiding the individual toward actions that are sustainable and rewarding. Fear is the greatest enemy of alignment. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough quietly disrupts the flow of income. When fear dominates, people overwork, undercharge, or abandon promising ideas too early. Alignment replaces fear with expectation. The individual begins to expect favorable outcomes. This expectation does not make them careless, it makes them confident. Confidence attracts cooperation. Others sense clarity and respond with trust, opportunities, and support. Income that flows from alignment often appears simple from the outside. A side skill becomes a service. A piece of knowledge becomes guidance for others. A routine task becomes a system that works repeatedly. These results are not accidents. They are the natural outcome of a mind that is no longer divided. When thought and action agree, energy is conserved and redirected toward growth. The person feels energized rather than depleted because they are no longer fighting their own beliefs. Alignment also changes the relationship with the main job. Instead of seeing it as a trap, the aligned individual sees it as a foundation. The job provides stability, resources, and structure, while new income channels develop peacefully. There is no rush to escape. This lack of desperation allows better decisions. Ironically, when people stop trying to run away from their jobs, they often make faster progress toward financial expansion. Money responds to appreciation. When individuals appreciate what they already earn, they signal readiness for more. Complaining about income repels increase. Respecting income attracts it. Alignment teaches gratitude without passivity. The person is thankful, yet alert. Content, yet ambitious. This balance creates a powerful inner state where growth feels natural rather than stressful. There is also alignment between service and reward. Income increases when people focus on solving problems rather than chasing money directly. When attention is placed on usefulness, money follows automatically. This principle frees people from constant calculation and comparison. They stop asking, "How much can I make?" and start asking, "How can this help?" Help given returns multiplied, often through unexpected channels. As alignment deepens, resistance fades, delays shorten, effort feels lighter. The individual notices that things begin to click. Conversations lead to opportunities. Small actions create noticeable results. This reinforces belief, which strengthens alignment further. A quiet momentum builds, not from force, but from harmony between intention and action. Ordinary people succeed in this way because they allow themselves to believe that life is supportive. They no longer see income as something wrestled from an unwilling world. They see it as a response to clarity, value, and trust. Each aligned step confirms the next. Work becomes purposeful, time becomes cooperative, energy becomes renewable. Income follows not because they are chasing it, but because they are ready to receive. It. Multiple streams begin with a single inspired idea. Multiple streams of income do not begin with complexity. They begin with a single inspired idea. People often imagine that financial expansion requires juggling many businesses at once, yet the truth is far simpler. One clear idea, when acted upon with faith and consistency, naturally multiplies itself. An inspired idea carries within it the seed of expansion. When nurtured, it grows branches, extensions, and new expressions without strain. What appears later as many streams was once only a quiet inner nudge. Inspired ideas do not arrive through pressure or desperation. They appear when the mind is calm and receptive. Ordinary people who create additional income while keeping their jobs often describe the same experience. An idea came naturally, almost casually. It did not announce itself as something great or life-changing. It simply felt right. Because it felt right, they acted on it without resistance. This is the power of inspiration. It removes doubt before doubt can take root. Many people dismiss small ideas because they are waiting for something dramatic. They overlook what is simple, familiar, or enjoyable. Yet inspiration often uses what is already present. A skill learned long ago, a problem solved repeatedly, a talent used casually can become the foundation for income. When a person honors an idea instead of judging it, that idea begins to reveal its potential. Action clarifies inspiration. The more it is used, the more direction it gains. A single inspired idea naturally attracts opportunities. As it is expressed, others notice it, need it, or ask about it. Questions lead to conversations. Conversations lead to improvements. Improvements lead to new versions, formats, or audiences. Without planning multiple streams, the individual suddenly finds that the idea has expanded. One service leads to an other. One product leads to a system. One solution opens the door to many variations. Expansion becomes organic rather than forced. Inspired ideas carry energy. This energy makes effort feel lighter. People are willing to give time to what excites them. They are willing to learn, adjust, and persist because the idea itself feels rewarding. This is why inspiration is essential. Income created without inspiration often collapses under boredom or fatigue. Income created from inspiration grows because the individual remains emotionally invested. Their consistency is natural, not disciplined through force. Another quality of an inspired idea is clarity. It simplifies decision-making. Instead of chasing every opportunity, the person filters choices through the original idea. This prevents overwhelm and distraction. Focus strengthens results. As focus increases, mastery develops. Mastery increases value. Value attracts income. What started as one idea becomes a recognized offering, trusted and refined. From that position, creating additional streams becomes effortless. Inspired ideas also invite collaboration. When people are aligned with what they do, others sense it. Support appears in the form of partnerships, recommendations, or guidance. One person may help with promotion, another with refinement, another with scaling. The original idea expands beyond the individual without losing its essence. This is how one stream becomes many without multiplying labor. There is also a shift in identity that occurs. When a person acts on an inspired idea, they begin to see themselves differently. They no longer identify solely with their job title. They recognize their creative and problem-solving abilities. This change in self-concept opens the mind to further ideas. Confidence grows, not from income alone but from self-trust. With self-trust, ideas arrive more frequently and are acted upon more quickly. Fear often delays the birth of inspired ideas. People wait for perfect timing, perfect knowledge, or external permission. Yet inspiration fades when ignored. It seeks movement. Ordinary people who succeed are not braver, they are more responsive. They take small steps while remaining grounded in their daily responsibilities. They allow the idea to coexist with their job rather than compete with it. This removes pressure and allows steady development. As the idea matures, it begins to produce leverage. A single effort can be reused, shared, or scaled. Knowledge can be packaged. Processes can be repeated. Time invested once can generate results many times. This is where multiple streams appear clearly. What was once one action now produces several outcomes. Income arrives from different directions, all connected to the same original inspiration. Inspired ideas also evolve. They respond to feedback and experience. This evolution is natural, not confusing, because the core intention remains the same. The individual does not feel lost, they feel guided. Each adjustment strengthens alignment, each refinement increases effectiveness. Streams diversify without losing coherence because they all originate from the same source. The most important element is belief. When a person believes that one idea is enough to begin, they stop postponing progress. They stop waiting for certainty and start building momentum. Momentum creates evidence. Evidence strengthens belief. This cycle sustains growth. the idea no longer feels fragile, it feels established. From this foundation, expansion feels safe and expected. Ordinary people prove every day that financial growth does not require many beginnings. It requires one beginning honored fully. One inspired idea, trusted and expressed, naturally unfolds into more than was imagined. Streams multiply because inspiration is alive, responsive, and intelligent. When followed, it leads steadily from simplicity into abundance. Skills and awareness create opportunity everywhere. Skills and awareness create opportunity everywhere, even where others see none. Many people move through life believing that opportunities are rare and reserved for a select few. Yet this belief blinds them to what is constantly available. Opportunity is not a fixed object waiting to be discovered, it is a response to perception. When awareness expands, the environment changes without physically changing. The same streets, screens, conversations, and routines suddenly reveal openings that were previously invisible. This shift happens internally before it appears externally. Skills are the language through which opportunity speaks. A skill does not need to be extraordinary to be valuable, it needs to be useful. Ordinary people who increase their income quietly understand this. They stop underestimating what they know. They recognize that what feels simple to them may be meaningful to someone else. Awareness allows them to see how their abilities fit into real needs. A skill combined with awareness becomes a bridge between effort and reward. Awareness begins with attention. People who cultivate it listen more closely, observe patterns, and notice inefficiencies. They pay attention to repeated questions, common struggles, and unmet desires. Where others complain, they observe. Where others scroll mindlessly, they learn. This awareness sharpens instinct and reveals gaps that skills can fill. Income grows naturally when a person positions their skill at the point where a need already exists. Many believe opportunity requires relocation, reinvention, or dramatic change. In reality, opportunity often appears in familiar spaces. A workplace reveals inefficiencies. A community reveals unmet needs. Online spaces reveal endless demand for clarity, guidance, and solutions. Awareness transforms routine environments into fields of possibility. Skills activate those possibilities. Without awareness, skills remain dormant. Without skills, awareness remains unused. Together they create movement. Skills grow through use, not perfection. Ordinary people who succeed do not wait until they feel fully prepared. They apply what they know while improving along the way. This practical application increases awareness further. Feedback becomes information, not criticism. Each interaction refines the skill and sharpens perception. Opportunity multiplies because the individual is engaged with life rather than observing it from a distance. There is also an inner awareness that matters deeply. Self-awareness allows individuals to recognize their strengths and limits honestly. Instead of forcing themselves into unsuitable paths, they choose directions that align with their natural abilities. This alignment prevents exhaustion and builds consistency. When people work with their nature rather than against it, progress accelerates. Skills applied in alignment carry more impact and attract better results. Awareness also dissolves comparison. When individuals focus on what others are doing, they miss their own openings. Comparison scatters energy and creates doubt. Awareness returns attention to the present moment and available resources. It reminds the individual that opportunity is personal, not universal. What works for one person may not work for another, and that is not a disadvantage. It is guidance. As awareness sharpens, people begin to see that problems are invitations. Each problem contains a request for a skill. Instead of avoiding problems, they learn to approach them with curiosity. This mindset transforms obstacles into income pathways. The question shifts from "why is this difficult?" to "what skill can solve this?" Solutions become valuable because they relieve tension, save time, or provide clarity. Value creates exchange. Exchange creates income. Skills also create leverage. A learned ability can be repeated, shared, taught, or systemized. Awareness reveals how to extend the reach of a skill beyond one-on-one effort. A solution can be documented. Knowledge can be simplified. Experience can be transferred. These extensions increase impact without increasing effort proportionally. Opportunity expands because the skill is no longer confined to a single moment or person. Ordinary people often discover that their most profitable skills were developed unintentionally. Life itself trains them through experience. Awareness helps them recognize this training. Challenges become qualifications. Mistakes become insight. Time spent learning informally becomes an asset. When awareness reframes experience, value appears where none was previously acknowledged. Another important aspect is environmental awareness. Trends, tools, and behaviors shift constantly. Those who stay aware adapt their skills accordingly. They do not abandon what they know, they update how it is applied. This adaptability keeps opportunity flowing. Skills remain relevant because awareness keeps them connected to the present moment rather than the past. Awareness also invites humility. It reminds individuals that learning is continuous. This openness attracts growth. People who believe they already know enough stop seeing opportunity. Those who remain curious continue to discover new applications for their skills. Curiosity fuels awareness. Awareness fuels opportunity. Opportunity rewards skill. Income grows when skills are expressed confidently but not arrogantly. Awareness guides tone, timing, and approach. It helps individuals communicate value clearly. Misunderstood skills are undervalued skills. Awareness ensures that abilities are presented in ways others can recognize and appreciate. This recognition transforms potential into results. As skills are used and awareness deepens, trust builds internally. Individuals trust themselves to navigate uncertainty. This trust reduces hesitation. Action becomes smoother. Opportunities are seized without overthinking. Momentum builds quietly. Each successful use of a skill reinforces belief in its value. Skills and awareness together remove the illusion of scarcity. They show that opportunity is not something to chase, but something to respond to. Wherever there is confusion, there is demand for clarity. Wherever there is inefficiency, there is demand for improvement. Wherever there is uncertainty, there is demand for guidance. Skills answer these demands. Awareness reveals them. Ordinary people who understand this stop waiting for permission. They stop labeling themselves as unqualified. They begin where they are, with what they have, and refine through action. Their income grows not because they are extraordinary, but because they are attentive, responsive, and willing to use their skills in service of real needs. Opportunity appears everywhere because awareness is everywhere, and skills give it form. Expectation shapes financial reality. Expectation shapes financial reality more powerfully than circumstances ever could. What a person quietly expects tends to appear, not by chance, but by mental alignment. Many individuals unknowingly rehearse outcomes of limitation. They expect money to be difficult, slow, or uncertain, and life faithfully reflects those assumptions. Ordinary people who increase their income without leaving their jobs begin by adjusting what they anticipate. They no longer look at income as something fragile or rare. They expect progress, growth, and improvement, and this expectati guides their actions naturally. Expectation influences perception. When someone expects lack, they notice obstacles first. When someone expects abundance, they notice options. The environment does not change, attention does. A person expecting financial improvement becomes alert to opportunities, conversations, and ideas aligned with that belief. They take small actions confidently because they assume those actions will lead somewhere worthwhile. This assumption creates momentum. Action fueled by positive expectation carries clarity rather than hesitation. Many underestimate how deeply expectation influences decision-making. People who expect failure hesitate, overthink, and delay. People who expect success move forward with calm confidence. This does not mean they ignore risk, it means they do not exaggerate it. They trust their ability to adjust and recover. This trust allows them to act while others remain stuck in analysis. Over time, this difference compounds into measurable results. Expectation also affects how people value their time and skills. Those who expect low returns accept low outcomes. They underprice their abilities, overextend themselves, or settle for less than what their contribution is worth. Those who expect fair exchange naturally position themselves differently. They communicate value clearly and attract better opportunities. Their standards rise without arrogance. They simply assume that their efforts deserve respect, and life responds accordingly. Another subtle influence of expectation is persistence. When people expect progress, they interpret delays as temporary. They remain consistent without becoming discouraged. When people expect difficulty, they interpret delays as confirmation of failure. They quit prematurely. Expectation determines whether challenges are seen as signals to stop or instructions to refine. Ordinary people who succeed financially stay in the process because they expect improvement, even when results are not immediate. Expectation also shapes emotional state. Calm expectation creates peace. Anxious expectation creates stress. Stress narrows perception and reduces creativity. Calmness expands awareness and invites solutions. People who expect good outcomes remain relaxed enough to notice guidance. Ideas come more easily. Conversations flow naturally. Decisions feel lighter. This emotional alignment supports consistent action without burnout. In the workplace, expectation influences reputation. Individuals who expect to grow carry themselves differently. They communicate with confidence, propose ideas, and take initiative. This behavior attracts trust and responsibility. Even if their job remains the same, their role expands. Opportunities for additional income, recognition, or collaboration appear because others sense capability. Expectation becomes visible through posture, tone, and choice. Expectation also governs financial habits. Those who expect scarcity cling tightly, make fear-based decisions, or avoid investment in growth. Those who expect abundance allocate resources wisely. They invest time in learning, tools, or systems that support expansion. This is not recklessness, it is confidence in return. Wise investment reflects belief in future reward. A powerful shift occurs when expectation becomes conscious. Instead of reacting to circumstances, individuals choose what they expect. They replace statements of doubt with statements of trust. They mentally rehearse success rather than struggle. This rehearsal trains the subconscious to seek confirmation. Opportunities align because the mind is prepared to receive them. Expectation does not eliminate effort, it refines it. Effort guided by positive expectation is focused and efficient. Effort guided by negative expecta is scattered and exhausting. When people expect their actions to matter, they choose actions that matter. They stop filling time with busy work and focus on meaningful steps. This focus accelerates progress. Expectation also influences relationships. People who expect mutual benefit attract supportive connections. People who expect exploitation attract defensive interactions. Financial growth often comes through people, not isolation. Expectation shapes how individuals communicate, negotiate, and collaborate. Trust invites trust. Confidence invites respect. Ordinary people often underestimate how quickly expectation can shift reality. A change in mindset alters choices immediately. Choices alter behavior. Behavior alters results. The chain is simple, yet profound. Financial reality responds to expectation because expectation shapes every link in this chain. Expectation becomes self-reinforcing. Small wins confirm belief. Belief encourages further action. Action produces larger wins. This upward cycle builds stability and confidence. Income growth feels natural because it aligns with internal expectation rather than contradicting it. When expectation is aligned with clarity and service, financial growth becomes sustainable. The individual does not rely on luck or sudden breakthroughs, they rely on consistent alignment between what they expect and what they do. This alignment removes internal conflict and frees energy for creativity and execution. Ordinary people who understand this no longer wait for circumstances to improve before expecting better. They expect better first, and circumstances adjust accordingly. Their financial reality evolves because their internal narrative has evolved. What they anticipate becomes what they allow, and what they allow becomes what they experience. Prosperity grows when the fear of lack dissolves because fear quietly blocks the very flow it is trying to protect. Many people hold tightly to what they have, not realizing that this tightness signals distrust in life's ability to replenish. Fear of lack convinces the mind that resources are scarce, that opportunities are limited, and that loss is always near. Ordinary people who experience financial expansion begin by loosening this grip. They stop guarding money with anxiety and start allowing it to move with purpose and confidence. Fear of lack often disguises itself as caution. It sounds reasonable and protective, yet beneath it lies the belief that there will never be enough. This belief shapes behavior subtly. People delay action, avoid learning, resist investment, and hesitate to share their skills. They wait for certainty that never comes. As long as fear dominates, growth feels dangerous. When fear dissolves, growth feels natural. The individual no longer asks, "What if I lose?" but instead asks, "What if this expands?" Dissolving fear does not mean ignoring reality. It means interpreting reality through trust rather than threat. People who release fear of lack still act wisely, but their wisdom is calm instead of tense. They budget without obsession. They plan without panic. They make decisions without self-sabotage. This emotional shift creates space for insight. Insight leads to better choices. Better choices lead to sustainable prosperity. Fear of lack also distorts self-worth. When people fear scarcity, they unconsciously lower their value to secure safety. They accept less, give more than they can sustain, or overwork to prove their worth. Prosperity requires the opposite posture. It requires quiet confidence in one's value. When fear dissolves, individuals no longer feel the need to justify their existence through exhaustion. They contribute from strength rather than survival. Another effect of fear is contraction. Fear narrows focus and reduces creativity. It keeps attention locked on immediate needs rather than long-term possibilities. Dissolving fear expands perception. The mind becomes open to new ideas, collaborations, and methods. Creativity returns because the nervous system is no longer in defense mode. From this expanded state, solutions appear that were previously inaccessible. Fear of lack often comes from past experiences. Disappointment, loss, or instability leave impressions that shape expectation. Ordinary people who grow financially do not deny these experiences. They reframe them. They recognize that the past does not define the future. They separate memory from possibility. This separation frees energy that was trapped in caution and redirects it toward creation. As fear dissolves, generosity becomes easier. Generosity is not only about money, it is about time, knowledge, and encouragement. Giving from a place of trust signals abundance to the subconscious. This signal invites return. People who share their skills openly attract opportunities. People who support others attract support. Prosperity flows through circulation, not hoarding. Fear also influences how people receive. Those who fear lack often resist receiving fully. Compliments are dismissed. Opportunities are questioned excessively. Help is refused. Dissolving fear allows individuals to receive without guilt or suspicion. Receiving completes the cycle of exchange. Without it, flow is interrupted. Prosperity requires both giving and receiving in balance. Another transformation occurs in decision speed. Fear slows action, trust accelerates it. When fear dissolves, individuals act promptly on inspired ideas. They do not overanalyze every possibility. They trust their ability to adjust along the way. This responsiveness keeps momentum alive. Momentum creates evidence. Evidence strengthens trust. Trust disso. Fear further. Fear of lack also creates competition where cooperation would be more effective. People guard ideas, compare constantly, and assume others' success reduces their own chances. When fear dissolves, collaboration becomes attractive. Individuals see that success multiplies when shared. Partnerships form naturally. Networks strengthen. Income expands through connection rather than isolation. Financial habits shift as fear fades. Spending becomes intentional rather than reactive. Saving becomes supportive rather than restrictive. Investment becomes strategic rather than terrifying. Each financial choice reflects confidence in continuity. Continuity replaces urgency. Urgency drains energy. Continuity sustains it. Dissolving fear does not happen through force. It happens through understanding. When individuals recognize that life responds to openness, they gradually release defensive patterns. They test trust in small ways. They allow small expansions. Each positive experience weakens fear's authority. Over time, fear loses credibility. Trust becomes default. Prosperity also requires patience, and fear erodes patience quickly. Fear demands immediate results to feel safe. Trust allows time for growth. Ordinary people who succeed financially remain steady because they are not rushing to escape discomfort. They are building something that feels secure from the inside. This inner security stabilizes effort and attracts consistent outcomes. As fear dissolves, gratitude deepens. Gratitude shifts focus from what is missing to what is working. This shift increases satisfaction without reducing ambition. Gratitude and desire coexist peacefully. The individual enjoys progress without fearing loss. Enjoyment enhances performance. Performance improves results. Fear of lack often keeps people tied emotionally to money. Every fluctuation feels personal. When fear dissolves, money becomes a tool rather than a threat. Decisions become clearer because emotion no longer distorts judgment. Clear judgment supports growth. Prosperity grows in environments of trust, clarity, and openness. Fear suffocates these qualities. Ordinary people who allow themselves to trust life experience a different relationship with money. Income becomes cooperative rather than combative. Effort feels purposeful rather than desperate. As fear dissolves, alignment strengthens. Thoughts, actions, and expectations move together. Internal conflict fades. Energy previously spent worrying becomes available for creation. This energy fuels consistent progress. Prosperity is not forced into existence, it is allowed. Fear blocks allowance, trust opens it. When fear of lack dissolves, prosperity does not rush in dramatically, it settles in steadily, building stability, confidence, and ease alongside daily life. Prosperity grows when fear of lack dissolves. Prosperity grows when the fear of lack dissolves because fear quietly blocks the natural flow of increase. Fear of lack is not always loud or obvious. Often it hides behind caution, overthinking, and the habit of waiting for perfect certainty. It whispers that resources are limited, that opportunities are fragile, and that mistakes are dangerous. Ordinary people who begin to prosper without dramatic changes in their external life first loosen the hold of this inner fear. As fear fades, movement becomes easier, decisions become clearer, and growth feels safer. Fear of lack shapes behavior long before it affects income. It causes people to hold back ideas, delay action, and underestimate their abilities. When fear is present, even good opportunities feel risky. People ask for permission instead of trusting their judgment. They seek guarantees in a world that operates on trust and responsiveness. When this fear dissolves, the individual does not suddenly become reckless. Instead, they become balanced. They weigh options calmly rather than defensively. Calm evaluation replaces anxious hesitation. One of the earliest signs that fear of lack is dissolving is a change in relationship with money itself. Money is no longer treated as something that must be guarded obsessively. It becomes a tool rather than a threat. Decisions about spending, saving, and investing are made with clarity instead of panic. This clarity improves outcomes because choices are aligned with long-term growth rather than short-term relief. Prosperity responds to calm stewardship. Fear of lack also affects how people value themselves. When fear dominates, self-worth becomes conditional. People feel they must constantly prove their usefulness to deserve security. They overwork, undercharge, or accept situations that drain them. When fear dissolves, self-worth stabilizes. Individuals no longer tie their value to exhaustion. They choose contributions that reflect respect for their time and energy. This self-respect influences how others respond, opening doors to fairer exchanges and better opportunities. Another transformation occurs in the way people perceive opportunities. Fear narrows perception. It keeps attention fixed on what could go wrong. Trust expands perception. It allows individuals to notice what could go right. Opportunities that once felt invisible become obvious. Conversations take on new meaning. Small openings are recognized as gateways rather than distractions. Prosperity grows because awareness has expanded. Fear of lack often leads to isolation. People hesitate to share ideas or collaborate because they fear competition. They believe success is scarce and must be protected. When fear dissolves, cooperation becomes attractive. Sharing ideas no longer feels dangerous, it feels energizing. Collaboration multiplies resources instead of dividing them. Networks form naturally, and opportunities flow through relationships rather than solitary effort. Another effect of dissolving fear is improved consistency. Fear creates cycles of intense effort followed by burnout or withdrawal. Trust supports steady progress. Ordinary people who experience lasting growth move forward in small, reliable steps. They do not rush to escape discomfort. They allow progress to build gradually. This steadiness compounds over time, creating results that feel stable rather than fragile. Fear of lack also distorts time perception. It creates urgency that leads to poor decisions. People rush into commitments or abandon promising paths too quickly. When fear dissolves, patience returns. Patience does not slow progress, it supports it. Patient effort is refined effort. It allows learning, adjustment, and mastery. Prosperity grows stronger when built on patience rather than pressure. As fear fades, generosity increases naturally. Generosity is not about giving beyond one's means, it is about sharing from a place of trust. People become more willing to share knowledge, encouragement, and support. This sharing signals abundance to the subconscious and invites return. Prosperity circulates. What moves tends to grow. Fear of lack also affects the ability to receive. Many people block prosperity not because they cannot give, but because they struggle to receive. Compliments are dismissed. Opportunities are doubted. Assistance is declined out of pride or suspicion. When fear dissolves, receiving feels safe. Receiving completes the cycle of exchange. Without it, flow remains incomplete. Dissolving fear also sharpens intuition. Fear clouds judgment with noise and urgency. Trust quiets the mind. In this quiet, guidance becomes clearer. Decisions feel aligned rather than forced. Individuals sense when to act and when to wait. This timing improves outcomes dramatically. Prosperity responds to right timing more than frantic effort. Another important shift is the reduction of comparison. Fear feeds comparison by suggesting that another person's success reduces one's own chances. When fear dissolves, comparison loses relevance. Individuals focus on their own path. They recognize that abundance expresses itself uniquely for each person. This focus conserves energy and supports progress. Fear of lack also influences learning behavior. Fear discourages investment and growth because it exaggerates risk. When fear dissolves, learning feels worthwhile. People invest time and resources in skills, tools, and systems that support expansion. These investments create leverage. Leverage accelerates growth. As fear dissolves, resilience strengthens. Setbacks are no longer interpreted as proof of failure. They are seen as information. This perspective keeps momentum alive. Ordinary people who prosper are not those who avoid setbacks, but those who recover quickly without losing confidence. Confidence grows because fear no longer controls interpretation. Prosperity also benefits from emotional stability. Fear creates emotional swings that disrupt focus. Trust stabilizes emotion. Stable emotion supports clear thinking. Clear thinking supports effective action. Effective action produces results. The chain is simple and powerful. Fear of lack often ties identity to survival. Life becomes about avoiding loss rather than creating value. When fear dissolves, identity expands. Individuals see themselves as contributors, creators, and problem solvers. This identity attracts opportunities aligned with growth rather than survival. As trust replaces fear, gratitude deepens. Gratitude shifts attention toward what is working. This shift increases satisfaction without reducing ambition. Satisfaction supports performance. Performance supports income. Prosperity grows in an environment of trust, clarity, and openness. Fear suffocates these qualities. When fear of lack dissolves, energy previously spent worrying becomes available for creation. Creation invites expansion. Expansion reinforces trust. Ordinary people who experience financial growth do not eliminate fear overnight. They gradually choose trust in small decisions. Each trusted decision weakens fear's influence. Over time, fear loses authority. Trust becomes habitual. Prosperity does not arrive through force or struggle. It arrives through allowance. Fear blocks allowance. Trust opens it. As fear of lack dissolves, prosperity grows quietly, steadily, and naturally, integrating into daily life without disruption.